Welcome back to Leaving the Lies and Speaking Your Truth. I apologize for the interruption. Sarah had an emergency. We had to do a little stop. Everything's okay. It's been dealt with. But, and actually, Ariyl and I needed a moment also to contain ourselves. We were both getting a little emotional, so it worked out well. But we are back, and we're going to continue on with the interview here. I'm going to
Okay.
it looks like I have the next question, so I'm going to dive right into that next question. So, Sarah, what were some of the most traumatic things or memories that you experienced while you were a member of the House of Yahweh?
I was actually coming with two memories. One of them being at about the age of 10, I went to a Seder there, a Passover, and we were all sitting there, and I remember I was wearing a green dress, and it like had some designs at the bottom of it. And I was called a word that I didn't understand what it meant. Yeah, that's the word I was called. Because you could see a little bit too much of my knee. So for me, again, I didn't really understand what was happening, but my mom understood what was happening. And
meaning that as soon as this happened, you called your mother?
No, I got a phone call from somebody else. This is what just took place.
An unknown source. And then my mom, mind you, at this point, we already had the wall. So my donor had to come from the other side to the girl's side and have that woman who was, I don't even think she was an elder's wife. She was? Okay.
She was Yeshua, one of his wives.
Yes, okay. And she had to apologize to me in front of everyone for something I didn't even know had happened. Because again, I was so young. I don't know what those words are. You know, it's not something I've ever been exposed to. So mom,
a third party informed you on them? That's how that happened? Somebody else must have thought it to be extremely inappropriate to contact your mom.
There was probably several people that contacted my mom, and my mom had said, like, he better get this taken care of because she will drive through those gates. And
because obviously she was already out at the time. She was not a member anymore.
No, she was not. And it was taken care of immediately because, again, my donor knows I'm not going to press how protective her mom is.
Right.
So what had taken place was I received a phone call. Sarah didn't know what was going on, but I knew what was taking place. And there was 3 different phone calls given to me.
Wow.
And I immediately began to blow up his phone, and I told him, you have exactly 5 minutes for me to receive another phone call with a public apology to my child because I'm already in the car. I was 2 hours away. I said, I can make it in an hour and a half and nobody's going to stop me at the gate.
Yep.
And it took him probably about 10 minutes to finally call me back, but I was already in the car. And I told him, too late, I'm already in the car. I'm already on my way. At this point, Yisrael had gotten involved with that other wife of his and said, this needs to be fixed now. And she actually, and I feel bad now that I think about it, she actually got into quite a little bit of trouble because she was asked, I do believe it was Sarah that told me this, I don't know, correct me, Bug, but she was asked, do you not know who her mother is?
Yes, absolutely. But it was not only her mother, but it was also her, do you know who her parents are? You know, but it's not only her parents. After everything was going on with my mom, it was, do you know who her mom is? Because you're talking down on not only a higher up person's child, but her mom is protective and will.
You can say the words you want to say, Sarah. I know what you want to say.
She is crazy and will cut you. Do not cross her family. You know, and
I love that.
who I've known has known my mom will tell you. you don't talk about her children at
So
all.
in other words, this person said this to you in public in front of many other people, obviously because people were calling your mom and saying this. So
it
you
was
were being
Seder.
called out publicly. That's why you were to receive a public apology.
Absolutely. It was Seder. It was literally the big Seder that we were all at with all the tables and all the food. It was there because that's where I was wearing my dress. That
Okay.
that was green. Never forget that dress. And again, it was to my knee. It was below my knee, but the slit maybe went like it was jagged and it maybe showed a little bit too much knee for her. I was 10.
Okay, and you said you have another traumatic story as well?
Yes, and actually and my mom knows this story too. I remember it was one of my last times there. I was already unclean, and I can't remember if I was really unclean that time or if it had been coming from the outside world. And I had a cell phone, and I talked to my mom on the cell phone all the time because it was my phone. Right. And I remember going to stay at a family member's house, and it was told by somebody I had been speaking to my mom. Mm-hmm. Well, my donor never made me stay at his house. Like, if I wanted to go over there and stay, I could. But if I didn't, I didn't have to. It was really just kind of whatever I wanted to do. Well, he came to the family member's house I was at, made me get in the back of the truck, was like very upset. Like, he never yelled at me. He never anything that I remember. As I got older, I could never remember him ever being hateful towards me. And took me to my grandmother's house. I remember begging my grandma not to let me go with him, begging her, wouldn't do it, made me go with him. So I had to go over there. I walked in the house because, mind you, the second wife was actually staying outside in a camper at that point. She wasn't staying inside the house. I don't know if I'm allowed to share that. But that plays an important part in the story because she was unclean as well. So she was out there. So I go inside the house, and he came in and was like, "Give me your phone now." And I remember throwing it at him and saying, "Well, dead anyways." Just like that, because again, like, don't come at me. So I threw it at him, and I have never felt in like I was in a threatening position or I've never felt like I was ever going to be hit. And in that moment, I was like,
you were scared.
I was scared. And the second mom stepped in and was like, "You need to calm down and don't speak to her that way." And she told me to get outside, like, go. And I left. And then I stayed outside with her the rest of the time until I'm pretty sure I went home the next day, maybe. I don't think I stayed very much longer after that because...
Meaning you were there for a feast and you didn't stay for the whole feast because of this?
Because of that situation. That was one of the last times I was ever there.
That was the last time.
Yeah, because whether my second mom called my mom or whatever, but she stepped in and was like, "Enough, you're done," and made me leave. So, and at that point, again, I didn't feel like she made me leave. I didn't feel like she was singling me out or being mean to me. Like, if anything, like I always said, I've never been scared in my entire life of my donor. And at that moment, I was like, okay, but nobody speaks to me that way, and here you can have the phone anyways. And that's exactly what I did because I wasn't scared. I was never meant to be.
Was this because you supposedly weren't supposed to be talking to your mom while you were there?
I was telling her everything, supposedly. I was telling her all kinds of stuff. And he was mad at me because I was talking to my mom. That's why I got a cell phone.
This is when this was the two feasts after this, he was arrested.
Yes.
Okay. So
I feel like he thought that she had stumbled onto something because he was arrested for, I'm just going to say it, the sexual molestation of his second wife's first daughter. And he probably felt, I don't know this to be true, so I'm talking off of probability, felt that daughter was sharing too much with Sarah and that Sarah was calling and telling me, which was not the case. She was more of it's just odd things going on, and by this point she was pretty much done going to the feast anyway, and that's what I was waiting for, was for her to say, I'm done, I don't want to go anymore.
Right.
Absolutely. Because again, I was already 13 at that point, so by law at the age of 13, I think it's 14 now, but you can sit there and say, look, I don't want to see you, I want to stay at this parent's house, and I don't have to see you.
I think that law varies from state to state, but yeah, there is always an age in every state where you can make that choice yourself.
And I was right there at making that choice, and I could kind of tell, I was getting older, I was more cognitive of things that were happening. And again, now that I'm older and I look back, the second wife's oldest daughter did share a lot of things with me that I probably should have told my mom and been like, Mom,
right,
I don't right. But I was so young, and and again, it's not like my mom protected me and didn't explain that stuff to me, but it was, my mind was so
naive,
little, child. So I wasn't meant to know what that stuff was, or meant to feel like I had to have all these secrets, because I told my mom everything, and I still do.
Right.
So to me, now that I think back on it, it should have been said long before it was, but I didn't understand.
Right. You didn't realize that what you were being told were things that should have been repeated to an adult, or that they were secrets.
And they were real, and they were real events. It wasn't a story somebody was telling me. It was a real situation.
So did she present them to you as a story, or is it that you thought it was a story?
A dream. It was a dream.
Oh. She said it was a dream.
But, and I'm not trying to speak ill on anybody, but when you're told by so many adults that person lies and lies and lies, it's, what do you believe? What's a dream and what's not? Because when I was scared, and I did go to my donor and tell him, I'm scared, she told me this, she got in trouble, and I was told, it's a dream, it's fake, it's not real.
Maybe that's actually really sad. It's something that's almost going to make me cry too, because I assume that she felt the only safe way that she could say anything was to say that it was a dream. It was her way of trying to tell what was going on.
Exactly. So she's telling me, her outside source, so I can go tell. But again, I'm a child, and I'm going to go to my protector, adult, and say, I'm scared, and this is why. And look, you're a liar, don't believe her, it's fake. So then that made me feel better, because I'm like, oh, that's fake, that's not going to happen to me. Saying that somebody had come in, a man, that was very scary to me. The specific person she was talking about, and that this person did this, and I was just like, I don't want that to happen to me. So I told my donor, I was like, this is what she told me. Not knowing what really doing, because again, I'm naive at that point. I don't know what's really happening.
Right.
Now I'm an adult, and I'm like,
right. You're looking at it with different eyes now. You can see it with different eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Sarah Beth, let's move this to a positive situation.
Yes, let's do that.
Let's move a little bit. Beth, what are two of your fondest memories in the House of Yahweh?
Okay, this one sounds a little crazy, but I'm going to say it. One time when we were in the Daughters of Sarah, and I was walking, and I saw my family sitting over there, I was like waving to them, and I was so happy because, I'm walking in this line with all my friends, and they had this big pillar poles like in the middle of the sanctuary. Walked right into one, turned right at the right moment, and boom, smacked right into it, because I was so pumped to be waving to, they're so proud of me. Hit the pole, and then just kept walking like it was no big deal. No big deal.
This is a fond memory.
But it's such a funny memory that I'll always have. Like, remember that time you ran into the pole? But I was in the Daughters of Sarah, I was in the sanctuary, and I was just happy. I was so happy just to be there, and like my family was waving to me, and I was like, hey, I think also not even such as a memory, but like just how I always just was so loved there. Everybody was just so, never talked about my mom bad, never talked about, nothing like that. Everybody was always so positive to me. Tell your mom I said hi. How is your mom? How are things? Going to, best memory, going to my grandpa Walter's house and getting pickles that we would roast over the fire.
Roasted pickles.
Roasted. He would make these huge pickles and we would put them on the pitchforks and we would just roast them. That was it. Just roast them.
I've never even heard of roasting a pickle, but now I'm curious.
Me neither. And that's just the best time at Grandpa Walter's house. He just was always, and he lived in a tent. He had a refrigerator outside, but it was the best place to be. The best place. We would beg.
Now, Grandpa Walter was your donor's father.
Yeah, my donor's father, and he is still there. And I still talk to him. I do. That's and good. I share certain information with him. Some things I don't, some things I do. But my grandpa Walter has never made me feel any type of way about the House of Yahweh, the place. He's never made me
say that.
You can say House of Yahweh.
You say it.
He's never feel a specific way about it. Whenever I call him, he doesn't pressure me about it. He doesn't talk to me about it. He's my grandpa. He is my grandpa. He does ask me if he is allowed to share information with my donor, and some things I'll say yes, and some things I can say no, but he's probably still going to.
Right.
And so it's what
I think you're very blessed to still have that connection with him, for sure.
Absolutely. Yes. That is, he knows about Willow. He called me and was very upset when things happened with Colin. He was very genuine about making sure he stays, has that connection still. He makes sure he connects still with me in that kind of, what do you need? Like, what can I say?
Right. Do you still hold on to any of the House of Yahweh teachings? And if so, which ones?
Absolutely not, and none.
Okay, well, that was an easy one.
No, I wear shorts, I wear button up, I wear good, happy cereal. I don't teach my kids any specific way. I teach my children now. We go to church now, and I teach them, what an actual real sin is.
Right.
Lying, honor your mother and father.
So what an actual real sin is.
Meaning it's not based on the Old Testament laws.
Absolutely. It's,
right.
This is what a sin is. Willow, I tell her, this is on me. A red dot comes on your forehead right there. Lying is a sin, and when you lie, red dot right there. And one time she was in the mirror and was like, no, there's not. So, it's teaching her those things, or, my current fiance, his daughter is 7, and she's actually come to me and asked me, well, Sarah, what are the 10 Commandments? And explain them, breaking each one down to her, and knowing like this is what church is. These are what the 10 Commandments are in this. And one of the other things that I've taken from the House of Yahweh that my mom has always pressed on to us is I will not force my children to go to church. I will not force them to believe in something. Right. It is what the experience they get out of it. And we, again, being very lucky that me and my siblings got the experience we did, because I'm not afraid to go to church and I'm not afraid to believe in something.
Right.
Where I was there, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to hell today. What did I do now? So
apparently I talked to my mom on the phone.
Apparently.
Sarah Beth, do you think being raised in the House of Yahweh still affects you today? And if so, how?
I would say the only real way it affects me is when people find out I was born into a cult, or they ask me where my name came from. It's very, very hard to explain, because then it's lots and lots and lots of questions. Or when I have to tell people, I'm still in contact with my siblings. I talk to them pretty much every single day. Some of them have children now, and they come to me. I'm the oldest. They come to me for that advice on what do I do if she's coughing like this. And it's hard to explain to people when I say, oh, that's my sister. Well, your mom had another daughter, and it's like, no, that's my my donor's second wife's daughter, my donor's fourth wife's son. Like it
Right.
gets that way. That's what the cult has left me with, is a lot of
Explaining.
explaining of certain things.
Right, because it's not just answering that one question. It's like you need to tell a lot of backstory to explain the
Exactly.
answer. It's not just a simple answer.
Yes, it's not.
It's like, oh,
not.
you're
And
opening up a can of worms.
exactly. And where I got my name from, it's, difficult like that. So it's, my name is Sarah Bees Konanya. And they're like, well, where'd you get that name? And I'm like, from my mom. No, it's Hebrew. So does that mean you're Jewish? And it's like, at that point, like, what do you want me to say? What else do you want me to tell you? Because I don't know.
So that kind of leads into our next question, which is, you have children of your own now. Do you think that being raised in the House of Yahweh has affected the way you raise your own children? And if so, how? You may have kind of already answered that a little bit, but if you want to go into more detail or you have a different answer, we'd like to hear that.
I mean, it really doesn't. I love my children very much. The only, thing I could probably say is that the way my mom raised me is not the way I raise them. I'm very protective of them. I'm very cognitive of what is happening in their lives. And they're only 2 and 4.
Right.
I'm much come to me and talk to me about these things. And again, as my children get older, I will never lie to them, but I will not over exaggerate the truth. I will just be very honest with them, because if I'm not, they're going to sit there and question and wonder, and they're going to seek the answer somewhere else. But, heaven forbid my child grows up and wants to join a cult. I'm going to be like, listen, girl, back it on up, because I'm going to tell you what it's really like.
Right.
But I will never, and again, my donor is my donor. I am very much have a relationship with my grandpa and with my Gammy. And that's my donor's mom and my donor's dad. And my children know my Gammy like the back of their hand. They know his whole family that is not in the cult. And we keep that relationship because that's their grandma.
Right.
But saying that, it's always been given me as a choice to talk to him, to not talk to him, to share my children with him, to not. And when it comes to those decisions, that is my donor. I have a dad. That is my donor. They have a grandpa. I don't need that relationship with him. I don't want that relationship with him. To me, for a long time, I felt abandoned by him because you chose to make those choices and you left me. Because again, I was very close with my donor. And after that, I mean, it's been I'm 27 now, so 14 years, something like that. And I haven't spoken to him once. And again, the option is there. He speaks to family members every week, and I have been given the option to speak, and I do not. And I have given strict orders to my family members that do speak to him. If you send a picture of my children to him in any type of way, you will be written off. And I will cut the tie right there, because those are my children and don't disrespect my wishes.
Right.
He doesn't. So no. Do I raise my children in any type of way from the House of Yahweh? The only things I've taken from that is just to protect my children and be cognitive of what they're experiencing.
Right. And like what
So
you
I
said
have a
before,
question.
not forcing them to believe anything.
Not forcing them to believe anything.
Sorry, go
Sarah-
ahead.
So I have a question. You, your donor didn't play a large role in your life. Did you have a father figure that stepped in?
Absolutely. It's just the same person I'm talking about, my dad. That's the only person I know as a dad. That's the only person my kids
You
do.
can say his name.
Well, Mom, have you ever talked about Dad before?
Yeah, and
You can't miss him. He's bald. So, no, Willow, one time, funny, off topic, Willow, one time my dad had shaved the rest of his hair, and Willow goes up to him and goes, Papa, where did your hair go? You're bald. And I'm like, you got cut.
I love
So
it.
that's been my dad. He's been my dad since I was six, right before I turned 7. It was my 7th birthday, a couple days after you guys got together. And he's just, I didn't call him dad at first, but I don't ever remember not calling him dad. I never remember calling him by his name, Philip. Never remember that. I always, it was just dad. That's my dad, you know? And it was never any different. I had my donor and I had my dad. And at the time I was calling them both dad. And I really don't think I cared what. The only thing I will say about my donor in a positive way is that I never felt like I couldn't call my dad dad. I feel like he never talked bad about Philip. He never made me feel like I couldn't call him dad. He never pushed that on me. That I know of, that I remember.
Right.
So I've never felt like I didn't have my dad. And I would go from week to week, right, Mom? 1 week I was at your house, 1 week I was at his house in the beginning until about 4th grade. And then we moved. And then I was only there for the feast. But I used to go week on, week off.
Okay.
Sarah Beth, is there anything you'd like to say to anyone that has been raised in the House of Yahweh, that is still there, that would like to come out, but is scared because they were raised in the House of Yahweh?
It's so scary going from something you've been a part of your entire life. So scary. But if they don't make the outside world to be what it is, there's lots of help. There's help. There's people that are willing to step in and say, let's get this done. You can wear blue jeans and you're not going to turn into a boy. You can eat food that has milk and everything else inside of it. It's not going to damage you. You know, you can do other things. You can be your own individual person. You don't have to just continuously be brainwashed into thinking something that's not really going to happen. The world's not going to end. And what I've come to terms with, if it does, it does, and it's your time. Accept that it's your time and be okay with that. But don't let somebody fear you, scare you into thinking you have to follow all these rules or you're not going to go to heaven. Because the real God, whoever he may be to other people, forgives everybody. No sin is greater than another. And you can make it, but you have to be willing. Don't come out if you're just going to half it. You have to be fully committed, fully make up your mind, make that horrible situation go, I'm going to leave today and give my children a better life than I had with living on a school bus. Go out. They have lots of resources to help you be a better person.
That was a very good message. That was awesome. Basically,
I am so pleased with you, Sarah Beth. You kid, you. I made that.
No, that was actually a perfect answer. Basically, the world is not as scary as you think it is.
No, not at all. I mean, trust me, it could be pretty scary with these 4 girls I got at my house now, but it's not, this is way scarier than being somewhere else.
Right.
Well, Sarah, thank you for coming on with us today. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being so candid with us. We appreciate it. We enjoyed it. We liked it. Melody, thank you for making us cry. I appreciate that. We'd like to thank everybody that watched our episode today. We are asking you to look at our page on Facebook, Leaving the Lies and Speaking Your Truth. Also go to our YouTube page where you're watching this, Leaving the Lies and Speaking the Truth. And please help support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our page. Remember, the more you know, the more we can help those, whether in the House of Yahweh or in other cults. Let us work together, be positive, and show them that this world is not what those organizations has made it to be. I thank everybody for tuning in today. Our next episode will air the following Monday, so we ask that you tune in to us. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
Thank you. Bye, ladies.
Bye.